Jen Mall, and welcome to Nurse Connect. I am an RN and a board certified nurse coach. I believe that connecting with others is essential to living a happy and fulfilled life, and that sharing our stories not only helps us to heal ourselves, but also helps others by inspiring hope and optimism. I am so grateful to share stories of these incredible nurses on their journey, and I encourage you to find a way to share yours too. Thanks for listening in. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Jen Mall with Nurse Connect Podcast, and I've got Kate here with me today. Kate,
Hi.
would you mind getting us started with sharing a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Kate. I have been a registered nurse for a little over 22 years. So I think I was 22 when I became an RN, so I'm
That's
40
awesome.
now. Yeah, so I currently work in psychiatric nursing, but it took me a little bit of a detour in my nursing career to get there. If you would have asked me in the beginning if I would end up being a psych nurse, the answer would have been like a resounding, hell no. I started out in ICU step down. I did that for like 7 years. I've done a variety of different jobs as nurses do.
Yeah.
But at about, 15, 16 years in, the culmination of burnout, personal issues, perfectionism, all the things, trauma, right? Like all the things that we go through. I had been drinking so heavily that I got a DUI in 2014. And then by 2017, I was a wreck. So long story short, and if you want the full story, you can certainly Google me because it's all there.
Wow.
I ended up being reported from a home health nursing job to the State Board of Nursing because I had tried to tamper with a drug screen. I didn't want to be caught with marijuana. And so I spent 5 years in a monitoring program. And during that time, I, of course, got sober. So I've been sober 5.5 years.
Wow.
5.5 years. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I, during that, of course, through my lived experience, I was excited to shift that focus in nursing. So I got into psychiatric nursing and I threw myself all into learning things about mental health and addiction. And through that process, learning about myself. And I actually got board certified as a certified addiction RN. So I got my CORN or however you want to call it. And then I also got board certified in psychiatric mental health nursing. And I went, I rose up the ranks and as a nurse leader and director of nursing. And I currently am a regional manager. I manage a pool of nurses throughout Washington. However, either way, it's been a journey, right? I'm happy to be here because I am happy to talk about it. And that sounds weird, but that's absolutely how I am. I'm really open about it.
Yeah. Incredible. And thank you for being so open about it. We connected on social media and just your story was so compelling to me because I think, we've chatted about this, that these are topics that we don't typically talk about in nursing because there's a lot of shame around it, a lot of blame and guilt and all the things that we just want to pretend don't exist. And I think you're really shining a light on this major issue that I know you're not the only one that struggled through this. So thank you for just being so open about it. And I know you're really going to help a lot of people with this.
Well, part of the reason that I am so open about it, it's two parts. One, I have to be completely honest that I had no choice but to be open about it. This is discoverable information because I am a public servant. I'm a nurse. I have a license. So when you go into these monitoring programs, in order to protect the public, they put all this information out there as discoverable information. It's on your nursing license. anyone can Google it and find out what, what you've done and what your past is. So I didn't have any anonymity from the right. I didn't have that as an option.
Yeah.
And also a huge reason why it took me so incredibly long to get help and to face my drinking was because I was afraid of what other healthcare providers would think. I was afraid of what my nurse friends would think.
Yeah.
And I knew that they knew bits and pieces, but they didn't know really truly what it was. So today, when I speak about it publicly, and when I open up to anyone who asks, and when I share about it on social media, it's two parts. One, I had no choice. And two, I do not want anyone else to go through what I went through, where they just felt so alone.
Yeah. And it's so hard. What would kind of be your, I don't know about if advice is the right word, but suggestions on kind of where, if you feel like you're struggling and you're not quite sure what to do you have any suggestions on kind of where to start?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I could throw out some resources right now. I know as a nurse, I did not want to go into an AA meeting. I was deathly afraid of showing my face in public and walking into those rooms and talking with other people and admitting. But I will say there is an amazing thing that happens when you get the courage up to do that. And even if you run into someone that they're there for a reason too.
Right.
So,
I'm probably not going to say
anything. No. Yeah. And it's incredibly powerful. So AA and NA are always options. They're free. They're worldwide and tons and tons of meetings. You really got to get over yourself in order to walk into those rooms, but it's an amazing experience. And I did that in the beginning. And then as the pandemic hit, I found some online resources that I will forever be involved in because they changed everything for me. They spoke to my needs and wants through recovery, and I will always be a part of these collectives now. And one of them is the Sober Mom Squad, and that's an online group for moms. You can be a mom of any kind. I'm a stepmom. I am not a biological mom. And there are several meetings a day, 7 days a week. And it's, all female. And so that's a paid meeting, but the fee is very small.
Yeah.
And then I also joined a group called the Luckiest Club. And that is co-ed. And they do a really nice job with inclusivity, and they have different groups for LGBTQ and people of color and, just various marginalized groups. They will section off, but the Luckiest Club has meetings, again, all day long, 7 days a week. The facilitators are amazing. It is a paid membership, but it's a very small fee. And you have the privacy of going to these meetings from your own home, and no one has to see you. You can share. No one has to know about you. Yeah. But you build a community, and you hear yourself speak, and those types of things were game changers. And I really believe there's a lot more of those out there now. Yeah. Since the pandemic, right?
That's been a positive of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are resources, but unfortunately, a lot of nurses, we get to a place where it gets so bad, and our options are that we get reported to the State Board of Nursing. We report ourselves, or, we get so far down that path that we get in trouble. We get something permanent on our license. And I really try to advocate for people getting some kind of support sooner than later, and because I just don't want to see people go through what I've gone through.
Yeah.
I will probably never have, those red letters wiped off my license. That will always stay.
Yes. But despite that, you've still been able to have a very successful nursing career.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
And part of that was going into psychiatric mental health nursing.
Mm,
It's my first job back, being very honest and forthright about my story, being
mhm,
open and fully owning it. Like, this
mhm.
is what you're going to find when you go to look up my RN license. And I'll tell you about this story, and I'm sober now, and this is what I'm doing to remedy it. Really, truly, employers, like, hiring a nurse in a monitoring program is like your safest bet ever. I know you think it, but I mean, as in this monitoring program, I was randomly UA'd twice a month for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 years.
Oh
Because
my gosh.
that is the point that, in terms of alcohol use disorder, the 5-year mark is the point where they have sort of determined that you are, your risk of relapsing is a lot
Yeah.
reduced. So you're basically like in remission from your alcohol use.
Mhm.
So with those random UAs, you cannot have a poppy seed muffin. You cannot take too much no Benadryl. No
No
Benadryl.
Benadryl? How does
I mean,
Benadryl impact
things,
that?
well, I mean, it's mood or mind altering. People,
Oh
you know,
my goodness.
so
What if you
it's
had allergic reaction? Like literally.
you have to roll the dice. No,
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
Wow.
it's really, really monitored. And
Mhm.
so you are subjected to these random UAs, and that is to prove to the public that
Mhm.
you can be safe,
Mhm.
right? So you
Sure.
can continue working. And once you wrap your head around that, you stop being so angry at the damn
Yeah.
program. And so really, employers that's your safest bet.
Mm.
And what I find is that people in recovery are, we have a saying, we're going to give you a dime for your nickel, because we've sort of got some lost time to make up
Yeah.
for, right?
Yeah.
Something to prove. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, throughout that journey, I really learned to own the story,
Wow.
because I had no choice. And
Mhm.
you know it really, to me, because I waited so long to get help, it had to happen.
Mhm.
It happened. Yeah.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Tell me a little bit more about the monitoring program. So you are UA tested up to twice a month for 5 years. Did they require you to go to AA or NA meetings and or group like meetings with other nurses or anything in addition like that?
Yeah, you are required for the first couple years well, you got to go to treatment. You have to go
Okay.
through the treatment program, whether
Okay.
outpatient or inpatient. And you have to show proof that you graduated that program.
Okay.
And then you are required to go to meetings, 3 meetings a week for I think the first 3 years. And
Mhm.
it's
Wow.
different from state to state.
Okay.
I'm in Washington State, so the program is a little different. I've
Got
spoken
it.
to nurses through different states, and their requirements were a little different.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, you are required to go to recovery meetings, and that goes on for a while. And you also are required to show up to a peer support group with
Okay.
other nurses that are in
Mm.
um, program, and that's really helpful as well, because you get to talk to other nurses who are going through it
Mhm.
right there with you.
Mhm.
When I entered that peer support group, I expected to see, I don't know, maybe some younger nurses, some newer nurses, maybe people that didn't take it that seriously.
Yeah.
And what I came to know was that it was nurses who'd been nurses for a really long time. And a common
Mm.
theme we had was burnout. A common theme we
Mm.
had was past traumas, and trying to kind of self-medicate, and fear and shame and fear of stigma.
Mhm.
All of that. We had all of that in common. And so
Wow.
it was eye-opening for me,
Mhm.
to meet those other nurses who I would hire them in a heartbeat. I have so much respect. If you can come back from that, to me, you are a complete rock star.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, in hindsight, if you could rewind the tape many years ago now, and you mentioned some of these similar factors that you noticed kind of trending amongst the nurses you were with, what would be your, like, what would be your do-over, if anything? Like, would you do something different? Like, if you started to realize, like, hey, I'm really struggling, I'm feeling pretty burned out in my career, like I'm having a hard time with this. Do you think early on you would have changed to do a different intervention?
I really don't. I
Mm,
wish that I could say,
yeah,
at some point that I could have turned back. I mean, I just really don't.
yeah.
Part of it was becoming a nurse so young,
Mm,
going right into acute care, into an ICU step down setting. We ran the codes for the whole tower. I was
mm,
a charge nurse. I worked nights. You know, I being so young and going through those sort of formative years, it's like I learned how to be an adult and a nurse at the same time.
yeah,
And I I don't I don't see it going any other way for me.
yeah,
I'm so stubborn too that it took me like a slap in the face
yeah. Wow.
to get here. But the nurse I am on the other side of it is worth it to me,
Yeah,
because gosh, I can't even begin to explain how much different I am. I mean,
beautiful.
with the human to human connection,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we can't go back and do things differently, right? Everything happens, even sometimes the really ridiculously hard things, like things happen on
Yeah.
your journey for a reason. And I see you making such an impact with others because of everything you went through. That's pretty
Yeah, and
amazing.
we met because I was interested in becoming a nurse coach, and I reached out to you, and I am enrolled in that program now. And even to think, back then I was one of those like adrenaline junkie nurses. I was
Hmm.
no nonsense. I was cynical. I prided myself on how fast I could get across the floor and do this, multitask. And
Yeah.
think that I would really want to dive deep with people and talk to people one on one and coach people. That would have never been me back then. And it took this for me to kind of see really what, I mean, this is corny, but it's like, this is what I'm made of and this is what I'm made for. And it took all of that, I hate it. I hate that it was this brutal, but it was.
Mm,
That's just, it
I
is
love
what
it.
it is.
I love it. That felt really good. And that resonated with me. Difficult childhood, alcoholic dad, and having a lot of anger and resentment for that happened to me. And over the last year, I've really been able to embrace that. It's like, well, I wouldn't be the person I am without that. And
Yeah.
so, actually, it's a gift. It's a gift that I was able to develop those skills and the compassion and the empathy and the caring and the loving, like all of that came
Yeah.
from having difficulties. And
Yeah.
to get to that place is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I, the place that I would most like to help other nurses avoid is the complete mental anguish that you go through
Mm,
when you get reported and when everyone finds out and when you get fired from your job,
mm,
you go through financial
so hard.
difficulties. That place of despair is where I would like to, maybe prevent other nurses from going to, because
Hmm.
the pit of despair that I was in when this happened to me, I just didn't think I could come back from it. I
Mm,
really, I thought no one would hire me. I thought everyone hated me. I was, I mean, to be honest with you, I was suicidal. That's
mm,
how far in I felt like I was in too deep to ever come back from this mess. Like it had gone too far. I ruined it all. I ruined everything.
yeah.
And I don't want to see other
Yeah.
nurses get to that point,
Hmm.
because that's really scary. I went through some really
Hmm.
scary times.
I bet.
And so, you know, I do believe the journey is a gift, but not to the point where you're ready to
Mm,
take your own life. And
right.
it's very scary that the fear that's evoked in you when your livelihood and your, I had been a nurse for 17 years by the time this happened to
Yeah.
me.
Wow.
And so it just, yeah, it rocked my world. And I
Yeah. Every
absolutely,
single element of your
oh,
life,
yeah,
spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, everything is
yeah,
impacted. Wow.
yeah.
Oh
The
my
only job
goodness.
I could get was working at Macy's, making minimum wage,
Oh, wow.
selling bras.
Wow.
And you better believe that every doctor and nurse I had ever worked with at the local hospital came in, were
Oh my
supposed to
gosh.
underwear,
Of
and
course.
saw me there, like,
Yeah.
so confused.
Yeah.
I'm just playing
Wow.
it off like, this is something I've always wanted to do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's that's part of my story too. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And so what else helped you on your journey? So obviously support groups, that is key. And getting back into the profession. Did you find that your family was supportive? Did
Mhm.
they kind of go along with you on the journey and help you out? I can only imagine how difficult that was.
They did. My mom is a retired
Mm.
nurse.
Oh, amazing.
My stepdad's a retired physician. So with that, there was like
Yeah,
the added shame.
sure.
But my husband was really supportive, and my family really did rally around me. But
Good.
one thing that was a game changer for me was going to a psychiatric nurse practitioner who just said the very simple words of, "You can do this. I believe in you. We can handle this together. I'll give you the name of an attorney I know, and you're gonna get sober, and you got this." Like
Awesome.
someone just telling me, "You got this.
Right.
We're together." Like someone like totally believing me. In another nurse, someone that I looked up to, you know, a PhD in nursing. She had a successful psychiatry practice. Of course, I was mandated to go see her
Yeah.
because
But
she
she
was
was great, so it was worth it.
she was great. And that to me is a God shot. I
Yeah.
That's my faith. And so yeah, someone saying, "No, I can see a path through this for you, and I'll be right there with you, and we're gonna walk through it together." And that gave me hope that
Yes.
because I really, honestly, well, I had never known anyone to go through what I had gone through. No, none of my friends, nobody. I
Mm.
didn't even know that this thing existed. I was pretty shielded I don't really even know of anybody that struggled up until
Yeah.
now, and that I'm sober. And so I didn't think there was a way out until someone just said, "Yes, there is. Yeah, you got this." And so just breadcrumbs, right? Following the
Yes.
breadcrumbs. One thing, okay, I can do this, then I'll do this, then I'll write this letter to the commission, then I'll do this, then I'll, just one thing out, and pretty soon it was one day into the next, and I was able to just go through the steps and to get myself into the support groups. And that's how it, one book, one podcast at a time, that kind of thing.
Awesome. That is great. I love it. And that is nurse coaching. That is a
Yeah.
huge part of what we do, right? And I think that's why you've been drawn to this is that, we help give people that light in their dark time, and we're not there to, make them feel bad or tell them what to do, but to walk beside it,
Yeah.
like walk beside them and help hold that light on their journey and help them figure out what that next step is.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
little by little, you make it through, and having that, that compassion for them, but also that give them a little push, like you got this,
Yep.
get going. That's what I just love about this specialty in nursing, and I'm super excited that you are on this journey too.
Yeah, thank you. I was ready to give up until she said, "No, we're not giving up. That's not an I was ready to surrender my license
Mm,
to the nursing commission. I
wow,
was like, I don't want to be a nurse anymore. At the age of 38, for I'll just sell bras at Macy's forever.
yeah,
Nothing against Macy's, but
yeah, yeah.
it's
But
tough going one
there's a
minute.
higher purpose for you
Yeah.
on this journey, and then like you said, a little God wink, a little like
For
a little that was
sure.
she was put on your path for a reason
Oh,
to
for
help get
sure.
you to that next phase.
For sure. Yeah. I mean,
Amazing.
yeah.
Very fun. Well, I'm thinking we've got a few more minutes. So, what else would you like to share with? And this is primarily an audience of nurses. We definitely get non-nurses listening too. But what else would you like to make sure they walk away with today?
Yeah. I would say, hmm, for me, recovering out loud looks like just, public speaking, social media, just being really loud.
Hmm.
But one thing that I've found that really helps other people is to find someone they can trust to talk to
Hmm.
about it. And that also is recovering out loud, because a huge component of all of this is the loneliness.
Mm.
They say that, the opposite of addiction is connection, and
Hmm.
a huge piece of this is feeling completely alienated and alone.
Mm.
And so if you can find even one person to talk to, and then from there, like I said, follow the breadcrumbs and into a community. We are fortunate for better or for worse, social media is full of support. If you're on Instagram and you can hashtag addiction recovery, addiction
Hmm.
support, recovery community, it's there. And
Cool.
that is something I would have never thought to look at when I was afraid to go into an AA
Sure.
meeting. And so to me, it's the the number one thing I think that will save you is community, and finding someone you can trust to talk to stop that loneliness and that cycle of where you get in your head when you're alone and you're ruminating on all the things.
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And I think a huge part of what I wanted to do this today with you, especially, is like kind of taking away a little bit of that stigma of being, oh, I mean, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out to somebody. Like, let us help you and be in your community. And so just really appreciate you, just being so open about it and your journey, and a resource. I think it's definitely going to connect with those who need it.
Thank you. Yeah, as a nurse, me and all my nurse friends drank together. We,
Hmm.
we worked night shift. We had Bloody Marys when shift was
Hmm.
over at 8 in the morning. We went out on the weekends and drank together. But when I sort of started to cross that arbitrary line in the sand where my problem became bigger than
Mm.
their habitual drinking, a lot of people alienated me and left me
Yeah.
behind. And I hate that as nurses we seem to do that to each other.
Hmm.
So if it is the last thing I do, I will, speak out to stop that part of it. It can be corny to say nurses inspiring nurses or nurses unite, but honestly, the fear of what other people would think and the stigma and the shame almost killed me.
Oh
And
my God.
I just cannot express enough how much I'll do whatever it takes to make sure someone else doesn't go through that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got a little teary eyed. I think it's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me come here and stand on my soapbox and go on and on and on, because I can literally talk about this.
I love it.
Thank you
I
for
love it.
watching the time, because I will talk forever.
Awesome. Well, okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on, and we will catch everybody soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.